Welcome to the Swing Trading with Cycles channel. This is where we time the markets without predicting the markets. We use trend analysis to do that, find that reversal point, and we can get in early. This is an example of a reversal point. That said, we are in a massive downtrend. So this is gold. It's October 21st, Friday night. We have our full weekly candle. Let's go through the levels. So we'll start with gold. This is the daily chart, gold CFDs. And today was day 18, Friday. We had a big bullish outside day. And so here's the thing, right? This is day 18 after this potential really short daily cycle that was only 19 days. Alternatively, could be that this is actually day 27, right? 18 plus 19, right? So this is all one cycle. And this is your DCL, and then we're moving higher. As I say oftentimes, it doesn't really matter because what you're really watching for is the trend, right? As I said, you want to watch that trend. The cycles are just an additive thing. They're a tool to help us analyze a trend in a little bit more of a turnkey way. And so, whether this is day 27 or day 18. Whether this is day 27 of a cycle that hasn't bottomed yet or day 18 of a cycle that also hasn't bottomed yet, right? Like ultimately it's the same thing. You're still in the downtrend, right? Lower high, lower high, lower high. Now we made a little bit of a higher high, right? This went above here. Now we need to see if we can take out this stuff. And these lines here, this is like, look at this big bullish candle. The low was this line here, which we haven't crossed yet. So that's going to be an important zone, not level, but zone, that area of price. And then this kind of upside represents the swing high. So this is the high from this most recent period. Again, depending on the count, this is day 5 of this daily cycle, and we're on day 18. So set a very left translated daily cycle in that scenario. So if we were able to get above the low from here, we would be above the swing high. That would get you to 1696. Call it 1700 even. Why not, right? And we're down here at 1656. And of course, we almost touched 1600 even today. So we've actually covered a lot of distance on Friday. But look at the shape of this thing. So we have this rally, and then we have this pullback. You're always going to have bounces in a downtrend, just as you have pullbacks in an uptrend, like where a price pulls back a little bit and then it keeps moving higher. Let's look at the weekly chart. So things are still pretty murky on the weekly chart in terms of what the exact count is, but this was week 10 swing low, move up, rejection. So that's at that 1730 level. Then we had a pretty big swing high, right? Like you see that? This line here is your low from that week. So week of October 3rd, we closed well below that low. And then this week we came in and we were still going red. And we almost made a low below here. And then we just sprang back up. Big bullish action, obviously today included. And so we're green for the week. And what we're setting up right now is for a potential swing low. Kind of like this, right? This candle, it was a swing low off of this, right? Once we went above this high. So once we won't go above this high, which is at 1668.42, that would give us a swing low on the weekly and a convenient little double bottom kind of situation. You know the gold hopium folks are going to be all over that, right? And maybe this is the low, but that's how you want to think about it, right? Is like people will say, oh, this is the bottom, this is the top. Wait a second, take a step back. Let's think about context. When you say that, when you say it's the top or it's the bottom, at what level? Are you talking about the long-term cycle, right? Because at this point, that's all that matters. Where are we in the long-term cycle? So that's the weekly. And finally, the monthly. So this is really interesting. We talked about how the monthly had gone red. It was green at one point, and then it went red. And now we're just kind of oscillating back and forth, not unlike the dollar index, actually, the way that's looking on the monthly chart in terms of the way it's oscillating. And so this month might recover green. That actually kind of feels like what the chart needs, because I've said this multiple times in different videos. We've just been going straight down, lower low, low. Well, no, that's not a lower low. That's an inside month. But lower low, also an inside month, right? So that's interesting. So this is a lower low. That's another lower low. This is an inside month, like a pause. Lower low, inside month, lower low. This is actually still an inside month. And you can imagine a world where we go green. We have 6 trading days left in October, so we go green. We're still most likely going to open November as an inside month, given all this wick, right? So we open like somewhere here, and then we kind of just go red again. I could see that, because we need a bounce. You need bounces in a downtrend in order to go lower. That's just the way price reacts, right? So that's gold. Let's switch over to silver. So silver had a nice big bullish day, similar to gold. Look at that. So for silver, we talked about this on Twitter. Again, if you're not following on Twitter, definitely take a look at the link in the description. That this was likely our daily cycle low here at day 31, but it was looking weak. Look at this. We had this little cluster here. So day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and then boom, day 5. So, like very convincing close above the 10-day moving average. So this blue line here is a 10-period moving average. This is your daily chart. So it's your 10-day moving average. Look at the way this has been oscillating like a sine wave. That's not bullish. That means we've been just kind of going nowhere, right? Now, this is day 5, so it's relatively early in a new daily cycle. And, if you have your maximum hopium on, you say like, well, look, we've held a series of higher lows, right? Right. So this low, then that low, and then now this low, and then we're just going to theoretically keep moving higher. Now, this level here that we've marked, that $20.61, that's what marked the high from the last cycle at day 23, right? Below that level gave us a swing high. So that's still quite a ways up here, because we're down here at 1940 in percentage terms. But silver can move pretty violently, so that kind of gives you some pretty clear, a pretty clear sort of at least zone where price may react, maybe consolidate a little bit. And obviously, we don't want to make new lows below, like, call it this like 1820 area. Really below 1850, 1880 area, you're probably gonna head down there, but that's like your ultimate last line in the sand. And for your weekly chart, this is where it gets kind of complex, and a similar thing will apply to GDX, I believe, actually. So we know we have a high on week 5 so far. We just poked, and this yellow line is our 200-week moving average. This is our weekly chart. So we poked above that moving average and then just came back in hard. Didn't go red. Certainly didn't go red. Stayed green. So that's positive. But then the next week, last week, we had a huge red candle, big low below the low from week of October 3rd, where we made the high for that week, for the cycle. And notice also this high was a higher high above this little peak here too. So it was very, very encouraging in real time. Once we got this move lower, it suggested we were going to make new lows below week 31. But now this week, we got this little green inside candle. I'll zoom in to make sure we can all see it. This is the current week that just closed, right? Did not make a new low. It would have needed to go below 1809.6 to make a new low. Did not do that. But it didn't make a new high either. It just stayed inside. But we closed above the 10-week moving average. That's your line here, your blue line. And our next move would be making a move up, like theoretically setting us up to open like right here and then make a move up there, right? So that is actually a bullish turn, right? This is week of 7. And so what this suggests, this gives you a very clear way of kind of thinking about it, right? Like, we are now on a collision course with this high here, right? Up here at, what is that? 2124, call it, right? And so do we get all the way up here and then see what the reaction is, or do we actually stall out around here? We'll have to see. But that's what this is kind of setting up. Yet at the same time, it's already week 7 and we've basically gone kind of nowhere and we're way below this swing high. But again, we know silver can move pretty violently, so we could get another couple of quick thrusts in a few days. That kind of really changes the picture. And then finally on the monthly chart, we called out that this is a possible swing low, and we had a swing low at one point. This was a nice big green candle. It at least has gone back green because it did go red at one point, oscillated. Now we're at least back green because of that big bullish candle today. That is a great lesson in how multiple time frame analysis works, right? A big bullish day could completely change a monthly candle, for instance. That said, we're still in a position where we have this huge upper wick here on account of the big pullback. And so we're not quite above this swing low, like above the high from last month. And so it would seem like most likely scenario is that we end up opening November as an inside month on account of this kind of wick here. These are important things to understand because then that gives you very clear levels. We really have to get out of the range of this candle from there. Now, obviously, we have 6 trading days left, so we have to see how that closes out. But that's what it's setting up right now. If it doesn't sort of, change from there, if it, as it were, because again, we have 6 trading days left. And finally, GDX. This is a daily chart. So here it looks like day 19, and this is where it gets kind of squirrely, right? Like, are we gonna make a move down to another daily cycle low? Because this kind of bullish candle makes you think we're gonna try to test this day 6 high. And maybe that's what happens, right? We test that day 6 high and then we fall back below. At the same time, if I look at the weekly chart, I think that's where you get your real clues. We have not made a new high yet. So zooming in, just being really clear, this is actually still an inside candle. Notice what happened this week, right? This was actually almost, well, actually, was that a bullish outside candle? If it was, right. So this was actually a bullish outside candle just by a little bit. And then we actually got follow through. Again, really important to understand how candles form. This candle was very green at one point. Made a higher high, actually even above this peak here, which was very encouraging. And then we just came back, like slid back and failed, and then went red, set up for a big bearish reversal, and we got that follow through. All that to say, this candle here could be setting up a situation where we get some follow through like this candle early in the week. Looks very green, looks beautiful, and then we pull back hard. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen because there's no way to know that. I'm not one of these guys that thinks they can predict the markets, but you want to be prepared for a scenario where that could happen if that's what we start to see form, so you can position yourself accordingly. And finally, on the monthly chart, we are red now, but I mean, it's really a big doji candle. We're pretty much right where we were when we opened. So not a whole lot of signal here. Does look like this is setting us up to open as an inside month in November. Again, 6 trading days left, so a lot can change. But we've had this like droop lower, and then we have this potential reversal. This is trying to act as a swing low, like it's trying to sort of hold on, form as a swing low, if you will. But that could all be in the service of another lower low and lower high. The same way this was a swing low, we had this little rally, but then we got another lower low. We could see a similar kind of thing. In fact, that's what I'm expecting. So we're going to want to be careful here and really watch the levels because they're very clear. That's the picture for precious metals. So we looked at gold, we looked at silver, and finally GDX.